Iron Beasts of Kursk, Clash of the Titans on the Eastern Front War Tales. The dawn of July 5, 1943, broke over the Russian steppe with an uneasy silence. Beneath a sky bruised with low-hanging clouds, thousands of German tanks and artillery pieces stood ready. Engines rumbled, treads groaned, and black exhaust rose like storm clouds. Opposite them, the Soviet defenses stretched across the Kursk salient, a vast bulge in the front lines fortified with trenches, minefields, and countless anti-tank guns. Both sides knew the coming clash would decide the fate of the Eastern Front. At the heart of this storm stood Captain Alexei Morozov, commander of a Soviet T-34 tank company. His men had dug in for weeks, reinforcing their lines, laying mines, and camouflaging positions. Alexei sat in the turret hatch, his eyes scanning the horizon. Beyond it, the Germans were preparing their armored spearhead, Panthers, Tigers, and the dreaded Ferdinand tank destroyers. "Steel beasts," he muttered, "but beasts can bleed." The calm before the storm. Inside his tank, the familiar hum of the T-34 engine steadied his nerves. His crew, young but hardened, prepared silently. Sergei, the gunner, polished the optics one last time. Yuri, the driver, checked the gears with the care of a craftsman. Anton, the loader, muttered prayers under his breath, his lips trembling. Across the lines, German commander Major Wilhelm Krüger sat astride his Tiger I, a machine towering above nearly all others on the battlefield. He believed in the invincibility of his armored giant. "This day," Krüger declared to his men, "will be the day the Soviet bear is broken." Yet, deep inside, Krüger knew the Russians had dug in with unimaginable resilience. The Wehrmacht's blitzkrieg had stumbled in the frozen winter of 1941 and at Stalingrad in 1942. Kursk was Hitler's gamble to regain momentum. Krüger's Tiger crew, seasoned veterans, shared a single conviction: no Soviet tank could withstand their 88mm cannon. The stage was set for a clash not only of armies but of steel monsters, the largest armored confrontation in human history. The first clash. At dawn, the silence shattered. German artillery unleashed a deafening barrage, fire and smoke tearing across the horizon. Shells rained down, churning the earth and ripping apart trenches. But when the smoke cleared, Soviet defenses still held. "Forward!" Krüger barked. His Tiger spearheaded the assault, followed by rows of Panthers and Panzer IVs. The ground trembled beneath their advance, a metallic stampede across the steppe. Alexei's radio crackled, "Enemy armor approaching. Prepare to fire." From dug-in positions, Soviet guns roared. Dozens of German tanks erupted in flames, mines tore treads apart, yet still the iron tide pressed forward. The battlefield became an inferno, smoke, fire, and the metallic screech of destruction. Alexei's T-34s engaged from concealed positions. His tank fired, the cannon recoil slamming his chest. A Panzer IV exploded, flames consuming its crew. Sergei reloaded, sweat streaming down his face. But when the first Tiger rolled into sight, a chill spread through Alexei's veins. Its thick armor shrugged off Soviet shells. One shot from its 88mm cannon obliterated a T-34 nearby, scattering burning wreckage across the field. Krüger's Tiger advanced relentlessly, each blast tearing Soviet tanks apart. Yet, for every loss, another T-34 appeared, swarming like wolves around a bear. Alexei knew their only hope was to outmaneuver the slower, heavier beasts. "Flank them!" Alexei shouted. His unit spread wide, darting between smoke and wreckage, trying to encircle the enemy. The battle had become a swirling maelstrom of iron and fire. Clash of the Titans. On July 12, near the village of Prokhorovka, the battle reached its brutal crescendo. Over 1,000 tanks clashed in a single day, steel grinding against steel in the largest armored melee the world had ever seen. The steppe became a furnace of chaos. Dust and smoke blotted out the sun. Engines screamed, shells clanged off armor, and fireballs erupted as tanks collided at point-blank range. Alexei's T-34 darted through the inferno, firing, retreating, then striking again. Everywhere he turned, burning hulks littered the field. Men screamed inside their machines, some leaping out aflame, others trapped forever. Through the haze, Alexei spotted Krüger's Tiger. The massive tank was tearing through Soviet lines, its gun blasting apart 3 T-34s in rapid succession. Krüger's voice boomed in his headset. "None can stop us." Alexei gritted his teeth. "We'll see about that." He ordered Yuri to circle behind. The Tiger's turret turned slowly, unable to match the T-34's nimble movements. Sergei fired, but the shell bounced harmlessly off the thick armor. Krüger countered, a shot slamming into the ground meters away, rocking Alexei's tank. "Closer!" Alexei barked. They darted into the smoke, reappearing at the Tiger's flank. Anton rammed a shell into the breach. Sergei fired again, this time striking the Tiger's side armor. The shot penetrated. Flames burst from the engine compartment. Inside, Krüger roared orders, his crew scrambling to contain the fire. But Alexei fired again, the final shell tearing through the Tiger's belly. The iron beast erupted, flames shooting skyward. Krüger's men bailed out, some collapsing, others cut down by machine gun fire. Krüger himself crawled from the wreckage, his face blackened, his pride shattered. He fell to his knees as his Tiger burned behind him. The aftermath. By nightfall, Prokhorovka was a graveyard of twisted steel and charred bodies. The steppes stank of oil, smoke, and death. Hundreds of tanks lay destroyed, German Tigers and Panthers alongside Soviet T-34s, all reduced to burning carcasses. But the Soviet lines still held. Hitler's grand offensive had been blunted. Kursk was not the victory the Wehrmacht had promised. It was the beginning of its retreat. Alexei's T-34 limped back to Soviet positions, battered but alive. His crew was exhausted, soot covering their faces. They had survived, though too many comrades had not. Alexei dismounted, staring across the blackened plain. He whispered a vow to the fallen. "Your sacrifice was not in vain." Today, the beasts fell. Far away, Krüger sat under guard as a prisoner. He watched the horizon in silence, haunted by the image of his burning Tiger. For the first time, he questioned the war, the orders, the very cause he had fought for. The Battle of Kursk had ended not with swift German victory but with the resilience of men like Alexei, who fought not for conquest but survival. The clash of Kursk was more than a battle of tanks, it was a collision of wills. The iron beasts had dueled on the open steppe, but in the end, it was not the strongest armor or the biggest gun that triumphed. It was endurance, ingenuity, and the unbreakable spirit of those who refused to yield. Alexei stood with his crew as the sun rose over the smoldering battlefield. The steppe was scarred forever, but it was theirs. Kursk was the graveyard of German ambition and the dawn of Soviet resurgence. The Titans had clashed, and the Soviet bear had endured. History would remember this day not just for the iron beasts that fought, but for the men inside them, ordinary soldiers who forged victory from fire and steel.